So this is gonna be the quick process of me just going through the steps to just quickly reteach, not necessarily reteach, but just remind Atlas of the halter and the lead rope, since in the last session he was kind of scared about it. So I'm just gonna go ahead, break it down, take the rope off of the halter, and just have him just kind of start pushing his nose through the rope a little bit. He did this in the beginning when we were starting to work with him and actually put the halter on. So I should have brought my handheld target too. And I probably even should have gotten more of his nose through. So having him target a little bit more, because he's just kind of doing it, but not really. And that's probably where the root of that behavior is like, he's like, okay, I'm cool with it most of the time. And then sometimes he's not cool with it. And that's what you saw in the last videos. He's like, okay, never mind, I'm not cool with it. So that's better. I like that he's kind of pushing his head through there a little bit more. I just want more, like, he's more invested. He's more wanting to do the behavior. Here he's like kind of. He's like, like I'll do it, but like not really. Because here I'm just kind of pulling it up and then reinforcing him for it. And he's willing to participate, but he's not actively engaging in it. So I think that's a huge part of it. And I can get him back to where he was, but I want him engaging. I want him wanting to do it and not being afraid and not just tolerating it
Good
either.
boy.
So that's kind of, I think, the root of where that behavior was coming from. And then this is the process that I did to kind of fix that. But I should be looking for even more of that cooperation and like enthusiasm about doing it that I'm not getting right here. So this is not necessarily bad. Like there's definitely worse ways to train this, but there's definitely a lot of improvement where I can make it better and make sure that he's wanting to participate, not just kind of like he's not. I don't think he's necessarily conflicted. Like he's okay with it, but he definitely could be more
Good boy.
interested in what I want him to do. So that's pretty much my goal. Just continuing on. So I've just thrown the rope on the ground here and got him used to that. And he seems pretty cool with the rope itself. I think it was actually him just like putting on the halter that was scary in that last video. So I don't think it was necessarily the rope too much, but I'm just breaking it down and making sure he's cool with all the parts of it. So he's targeting the rope. I'm going to reinforce that. And see, he's pretty quick to go ahead and target that rope, so he seems pretty confident with that behavior. He must have not touched it all the way there. See there, he's just kind of putting his head toward the ground, but not actually touching it. There we go. So same kind of thing. Like, I want him to follow through and actually want to touch it. So I grab some more food, ask him to touch the rope on the ground. And then I'll just click and feed for when he actually touches it. And that's probably part of my problem too. I'm probably not being super specific and only reinforcing when he's touching it and looking for that behavior instead of just putting your head down there. So make sure he's cool with the rope. Kind of just hanging around. He seems fine with that. But he's not super engaged with the rope either, so that's same kind of thing like I was showing when it was folded over earlier. I want him to really want to touch that rope instead. And he's cool with me throwing it around here, but just more engagement overall. Again, like he's cool with that. I like that one better. He didn't move his head away that time. Like there, he moved his head a little bit. I'm still reinforcing. I'm just pairing that movement of the rope with food. So I'm not really looking for any behaviors on his part. So we're just conditioning it. Or potentially counter conditioning because he's got some fear attached there. So I'm making a new emotion with that rope. Then we've got the halter. So again, that rope is taken off. So breaking it down because in the last session where he got a little bit worried, the rope was attached to the halter. So I'm just going to hold it up. Again, I should have brought my handheld target or just been okay with him just targeting a piece of it instead of bringing his whole nose in. And I think at the time I was like, oh, well, you've been putting on the halter, so I'm looking for this higher level of behavior, but just at the time he's just not ready for that. There, that was pretty good. His nose wasn't necessarily going into the halter, but I do like that he was willing to touch it. There we go. That looked pretty good. But I do want just that halter a little bit further away. I want him coming toward that halter a bit more. I want him putting his nose in there instead of me kind of meeting him halfway and pulling it up the rest of the way. Because that's what I've been doing this whole time. And he seems cool with this too. But just more enthusiasm, more interest in it. That was better. I think more this
Good
was
boy.
more of this was for me to be like, oh yeah, I can still put the halter on. He's still cool with it versus um really making it a behavior that he really wants to do. That looks good. Like that's pretty much where we were before. So back to like our old behavior. But again, I just could make it better. He's cool with it falling on the ground. So I mean, it took I don't even know where we're at, 5 minutes to kind of fix that. So it's not a big deal. That's why I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, he was okay with this other day and now he's not. Like you can fix it in a short amount of time. It's not a big deal. I mean, obviously you want to take as many cautions as you can to like not scare the horse because sometimes if you scare them even unintentionally it can take
Good
longer that to
boy.
build up, but if you're using clicker training and making sure that the environment is good and you're not taking too many big pieces or putting every horse in a place where he can't be successful, then yeah, it's going to be pretty easy
Good
to rebuild things.
boy.
But now I've gone back and added that rope back in so we're in the same place we were yesterday, and he's pretty cool with that. Same kind of thing though that I've been talking about the whole
Excellent.
video, just looking for more enthusiasm, wanting to do the behavior a little bit more. And that's on me to like shape that in him versus him just kind of stand there and me do stuff to him. But yeah, he seems cool with it again now. And that's a
Good
different
boy.
difficult thing to really for a lot of people to understand the horse world. Obviously, it was for me for a really long time. Even when I started doing clicker training, it was a hard thing for me because I was like, okay, well the horse stands there and I do things to him, and I'm gonna reward them when they let me do things. Like the idea of them participating and wanting to do the behaviors was crazy, you know. And so it took a really a long time for that to really seep in and like me to actually understand it. But it's really important, and it's going to be a lot more fun for you and the horse. They're going to be a lot more confident. They're going to want to do the behaviors instead of just stand there and be reinforced for just standing there. I mean, obviously I want the standstill to be a really solid behavior. That's not what I'm talking about though. I want active behavior and active participation in each behavior that we do. So
Good
but that, yeah, that was a
boy.
foreign concept for a really long time, but he looks totally fine now.